Okay, so welcome everyone. Great to see you. And we have on the call, we've got Euphrasia and Michelle, who are the other citizen members on the Evidence Synthesis Infrastructure Collaborative, which I'm going to now call ESIC, just for simplicity. And we've got John Lavis, who is part of the Secretariat. Is that right, John? Okay,
Yes. Yep.
so a full slate of people who will be in Cape Town in a couple of days now, and we are here today to make sure that we are bringing the key messages that you want from a citizen's perspective to that meeting. This is our third meeting. The roadmap has now been published, and as I've written in my email to you who registered yesterday, hopefully, if you're joining for the first time, you've gone ahead and looked at all of the information that we gave on ESIC because we don't want to repeat that at every webinar, but we'll do a little bit of background information just because it's really important that we're all talking about the same thing today, and then we'll get straight to all of your insights that you would like us to bring. So we're going to start with a poll with two poll questions, but also if you'd like to use the chat to add any other information about yourself that you'd like us to know, that would be great too. Introduce yourself, say hello, but we'll start with two polls, and there it is. There's the first one. Where are you located? Oh, wonderful. Okay. 33% from Africa, 50% from the Americas, Southeast Asia, Europe. Okay, we know why Western Pacific isn't here. They're probably in bed. It is almost, unless you run things twice, almost impossible to get everyone around the globe all in one Zoom call. So thank you for that. And what perspective? Now, I know people wear multiple hats, but what are you bringing to this meeting today? Okay, that's great. Lots of intermediaries here. You're very important players in this field also. Researchers, citizen serving NGOs. Wonderful. So that's great. 17, 25, 33% are either NGOs or leaders or citizen serving or citizen members. That's great. Okay, thank you very much for that. Okay, we'll keep going. Okay, just to whoop, someone's advancing the slide. There we go. So we just want to clarify before we start that ESIC is using the term citizens in all of its work, and we just want to make sure that we're all very clear on what is meant by that term, because no matter what term we use, there's always something that goes along with it. So we want to just be sure that we're not focusing on formal citizenship at all, and it just means basically all of us people, uh, irregardless of our citizenship status. Okay, hopefully that's okay to everybody. And we are here these 3 webinar series are here to hear we're here to hear citizen perspectives. So we really want to hear from all of you who are working with citizens or are citizens, and so that we can bring those perspectives to ESIC, and that they will continue to shape the work of ESIC as they have in the past 6 months. And if you're another type of interest holder, there's also all kinds of other opportunities for you to give that perspective also, and you can go to the ESIC website to see that. If you enjoy consultation and reading documents and giving feedback, you're not going to find a better program than this one. Okay, next slide. And just as a reminder, this is the third of our webinars. So and they've all been done since the 24th of April. So in less than 2 months, we've done 3 webinars, and this is the one that's just before the meeting. So really important that we're going to elicit those messages that you would like the citizen partners who will actually be in person to bring to Cape Town. Okay. I'm going to hand it over to John Lavis, who's going to do a very quick review of the background, and it'll be quick, but it'll just remind you of what the project is about. Over to you, John.
Sure. And Maureen, do you want me to quickly cover the steps and how citizens fit in, or for now, is it more about ESIC writ large? Oh, you're on mute.
We've got a separate slide on that,
Great.
John.
Okay, great. So for those of you who haven't been on the call before, ESIC is a 6-month-long planning process. It was undertaken because of some major announcements by funders. The Wellcome Trust, as one notable example, committed £45 million as a major new investment in making it much easier for all of us to learn from others around the globe through what are called evidence syntheses. So for these last 6 months, there have been 6 working groups that have been actively advancing thinking on how do we make it easier to learn from others around the world, and also how do we harness the power of artificial intelligence when it can be used safely and responsibly to support that kind of work. For those of you who work in the research space, ESIC also offers the potential to reduce research waste and also to document the impacts of research. So the 6 groups that have been meeting over these last months include a number of citizen partners, and a number of them are on the line. They've also included frontline practitioners, organizational leaders, both from NGOs and business, government policymakers, people from a variety of UN agencies and multilateral development banks. And they've been drawn from every region of the world, all the major language groups, and a number of them are early career people who are really committed to achieving impacts in the months, years, and decades ahead. So those groups have been producing a series of reports, and now that those reports have been drawn on to prepare a roadmap. That roadmap is now publicly available on the ESIC website. It's available in 6 languages: Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Portuguese, and Spanish. Please do download it, take a look at it. There is an open consultation window open right now. It will close at the end of the business day tomorrow, Friday. So that's a really important opportunity for you to give your feedback on the roadmap once you've had a chance to read it. There will then be a consensus meeting, as Maureen mentioned, in Cape Town from the 24th to the 26th. That will bring again a number of citizen leaders, a number of representatives from citizen serving and citizen-led NGOs to Cape Town to stress, test, and refine the thinking captured in the roadmap, and to talk about how it can be implemented in a way that will equitably achieve impacts, particularly across the global south. So as Maureen and me have been emphasizing, citizens, citizen serving NGOs, citizen-led NGOs have been front and center in the thinking, but we're really keen to hear your thoughts about whether what you're seeing is what you think will achieve the biggest impacts and how some of these solutions could be put in place that will equitably achieve those impacts. So Maureen, I'll turn it back to you.
Thanks, John. So we see ourselves citizens as one of the 8 interest holders in the ESIC collaborative, and so we have 4 citizen members on 2 working groups and the governance planning group. 3 of us are here today. So myself, I'm Maureen Smith. I forgot to say that at the beginning. Michelle Hamilton Page is here, and Euphrasia Ibaya too. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Euphrasia are all here today. We will be going to Cape Town along with some other citizens who will also be joining us there. What we've done in the 6 months process is we provided input into all of the reports. I've attended the co-chairs weekly meetings, so listening to all of the working group leaders and what they're putting in their, what their concerns are, what they're putting in the reports. And we initiated and led the drafting of the call to action document. We've also ran 3 webinars in this series. We had an open consultation for the call to action, and now we are getting ready for the Cape Town meeting. So that's how we've contributed so far to this project. Okay, back over to you, John.
Thanks, Maureen. So these 5 groups plus the governance planning groups are the ones that I've mentioned before that have been meeting. I just responded to a question in the chat box from Janet about wanting to learn more about AI. So you'll see one of the 5 groups has been focused on the safe and responsible use of AI. And so in particular, this is about using AI tools for discrete tasks in this kind of work as the performance metrics allow it to be done safely and responsibly. But there are also other working groups focused on the requester or demand side. So how do we get the people doing this type of work to work with people like citizen leaders, citizen serving and led NGOs to understand their needs, engage them in doing the work and making sure that the materials that are produced are usable by them. Then there's the data sharing and reusing group. So many groups around the world are asked similar questions. We'd love to get to a place where we pull data once from a study or an evaluation, conduct an assessment of the quality once, and then many of us around the globe can then reuse it as we provide local responses to local questions. Methods and process innovation is about how do we do this work in ways that are radically more timely, relevant, and affordable. And capacity sharing is about building and sharing capacities and making sure that over time, leadership and execution for all of the work that we're talking about here is largely embedded in the global south. And then there has been also a governance planning group thinking about how do we govern this for collective impact. So this will not be one big enterprise. This will be a number of different groups around the world undertaking the work, but we hope to do it in a way that people are working towards a common goal and their work builds on and relates to each other. Maureen has been leading a group of citizens that have produced a document that has proven really important for the work of all of these groups, as well as for the writing of the roadmap. And it's called Putting Evidence at the Center of Everyday Life for Citizens, a call to action. This week it's being also translated into 6 languages. Some of them are already up on the website, and all of them will be up within the next day or 2. Over to you, Maureen. Oh, do you want me to handle this?
Yes, please.
Okay, sorry. So the ESIC roadmap, this was published in English on Friday last week, so hot off the press, translated into these other languages by end of day Monday. And it draws on the work of all of these different groups. There's also been a lot of effort behind the scenes to cost out the different solutions that are present in the report. Also, a lot of very fast-paced discussions about how do we stand up the first 100 AI-enabled living evidence syntheses on the biggest societal challenges of our time. And there have been parallel engagements with a number of interest holders, one of which would be this group on the line today, citizen leaders, citizen serving and citizen-led NGOs, but also conversations with science advisors, other intermediaries, multilateral development banks, many, many other groups, with the goal of making sure that their voices help to shape ESIC in a way that will end up being used by them. So we have this meeting, as we mentioned, coming up in Cape Town. We're particularly wanting to hear from people about which solutions are they most excited about, because they will have the biggest impacts in different contexts, in different sectors, but also what are some of the risks or concerns that they're worried about, and how do we implement some of these solutions in ways that mitigate or address those risks. Within a few weeks of the Cape Town meeting, version 2 of the roadmap will be produced, and that will be then what funders take away to work out collectively which funders will fund which pieces of the work. But again, the hope is that this will be funded and governed in a way where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So again, there will be opportunities for leading this work in many, many corners of the world, but the hope is that people are working as part of a collective impact-oriented endeavor. Keep going, Maureen, or do you?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and I apologize. I have so many things going on these days. I didn't clarify with Maureen where she wanted me to step in. So there are 5 steps laid out in the roadmap and a set of underlying principles that we hope will make ESIC a cornerstone of the global evidence architecture. So you'll see the principles at the bottom. They're called Show Me the Evidence. These were developed in October of last year, published simultaneously in 6 journals, available in 8 different languages. So if you haven't seen those principles before, they too are available in multiple languages. And then you'll see the 5 steps that the roadmap lays out. So first, the infrastructure, build a better infrastructure to serve everybody. And Maureen has a couple of slides coming up that will unpack that. Then make user-centered evidence synthesis the norm. So this is about making sure that the questions that are being answered in significant part come from citizen leaders, citizen-serving, citizen-led NGOs. It means co-producing that work with citizen partners. So people like Maureen, Euphrasia, and others, involving them in the teams that are undertaking the work. Then working with intermediaries who support decision makers, in this case, who support citizens. So this is the citizen-serving, citizen-led non-governmental organizations, or NGOs. How do we support them to do this key work of presenting the evidence alongside all the other information that everyday people want to know to make decisions in their own lives? The outcomes that we aspire to are that more people start using and then keep using high quality evidence as part of what goes into their decision making. And then the aspiration for impacts is better informed decisions that improve people's lives and save money. So this is the 5 steps, and the vision is that citizens are involved in and the beneficiaries of each of these steps along the way. So that's the 5 steps from the roadmap.
Okay. Thank you so much, John. That's great. Okay, we are done talking. We are going to be listening to you now. So we'll put the next slide up. I'm going to propose a strategy for how to do this. So I've got 2 slides here that are dense like this, that really are looking at the roadmap and what are the features that are in it that would be important to us as citizens, right? In the chat right now, I'm going to put a series of questions for you. But what we'll do first is we'll go through those two slides. We'll take a look at what's there, because how can you tell me what's the most essential or what you're most excited about if you haven't seen it all? So we'll go through them quickly, but then I'll put them back up, and you can take a look at them, and then we can talk about what you like about it, what's missing. What do you think the most essential recommendation that needs to be prioritized early on in the implementation process? So when we're in Cape Town, they're going to be talking a lot about, well, here's all the recommendations. How do we implement them? So what do you think needs to be prioritized early on so that it's successful? What would you put on a short list for implementation? So what would you start with? And really important, do you identify like tensions or challenges between the roadmap and that citizens' call to action, where we're asking to be very involved in the ecosystem, to have a voice, etc. And what finally, all of that should be telling us what the messages are about the call to action and about the roadmap that you want us to bring to Cape Town, because we'll be participating in all of the sessions, and we'll have ample opportunities in our own sessions that we have. We have 3 hours, an hour and a half, both days, to present our own perspectives. But then we also attend all of the other sessions, and we put our hand up, and we jump in there to give citizens perspective. So there's lots of opportunities for your voices to be heard, and we're hoping that you'll give us some more insights today. We also have all the notes from the first two sessions, where you gave us a lot of really good ideas, and that's also been incorporated. So it's important. So just looking at I'm going to go to the slide now. Just looking at the part about demand side, they're talking about a repository of open statements of evidence needs, including those submitted by citizens and citizen-serving NGOs, and then structures for collaborating. So this would be important to hear your feedback on that. They're talking about regional and country-based learning and development centers with demand-side secretariats that include citizens, and including citizens as partners in the process. So they're looking at a citizen panel to operationalize the citizen call to action, including sharing their evidence needs and contributing as co-contributors of evidence. In the data sharing and reusing, there's no proposed infrastructure, but the connected system of living evidence data repositories is the technology is needed for much of the remaining infrastructure, and does focus on citizens. And there are quality assurance processes and open access standards that will help to ensure that we citizens can trust data from the repository and have equitable access to data. And finally, on artificial intelligence, there's quite a bit talking about citizens there, about the tools for synthesis use by citizens, and the evidence support provided by citizen-led and citizen-serving NGOs. So they're both of which we built on a focus of quality assurance, implementation of best practice, and governance, and citizens can feed into that. So we'll go to the next slide. I know it's a real mouthful. 3 more to do. In the methods, they're talking about new methods to meet our needs that could be used by citizen-led and citizen-serving NGOs. So methods for doing and communicating lived evidence synthesis to meet user needs, including ways to more effectively engage citizens in the production, contextualization, and translation of synthesis findings. In the capacity sharing, they're talking about more streamlined access to evidence synthesis and evidence support tools that citizen-led and citizen-serving NGOs could then use effectively, and establishing an academy for evidence synthesis, and that would include citizens as members of that academy, and benefiting from what the academy is going to do. And in the governance planning group, there's definitely saying that citizens need to be at the governance table also. So I don't know if John, if you want to add anything to what I've said there. No.
No,
Okay.
that was great.
All right, so I put the questions in the chat. There they are there. And maybe we can put the first one back up again so people can take a look at it and maybe go one slide at a time if that facilitates anything. But if something's on the second one and you want to jump in now, no problem. So who's going to be the first one to either unmute or put your thoughts in the chat, whatever works best for you? We would love to hear from you. So what strikes you here as important? Where do you see the tensions? What do you think should be prioritized? Is there something that you're excited about when you see that, for example?
I'm excited to see the organization worldwide and the inclusion of citizens in this.
Thanks, Janet. And Janet's speaking from years of experience as a Cochrane consumer, like many, many, many years of doing peer reviews of systematic reviews. And this is much beyond that, right, Janet?
Yes, and also I've been part of several systematic reviews and rapid reviews and that kind of thing, and it's nice to see that they're included and will be trained.
That's great. Okay, we'll make note of that. Thanks, Janet. Thanks for starting the ball rolling. Who's next? I can see everybody. If you're unable to unmute, then please use the chat also, but we're happy to see you and hear from you if you can. I don't see any other hands going up. Not yet. People are still thinking. This is a reflection and I should be quiet. Oh, Johnny. Okay, go ahead, Johnny.
Hello. I'm looking at the data sharing, data reuse, and I'm just glancing at the working group report on that, which does speak to the things I was going to question about that. But I'm so this is about like interoperability, different data formats. You can provide a a great big pile of evidence, but it's going to if it's difficult to synthesize it, if it's all different formats, obviously that's hard. But then that's written here. But yeah, I just feel like that's probably a priority because it's quite a lot of work. And I could connect you with some people in the civic technology space who are thinking very hard about this, who would probably be potentially could be keen to collaborate at some level.
That would be great. That would be wonderful. If you want to write to me offline personally with some names, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so can you just because I'm where data sharing is not an area where everyone is understanding all of it, including myself. Why is it a priority for you?
So, well, I've been working with this group of people at MetaGov who are trying to make all different kinds of civic technology platforms interoperable. So these are all essentially platforms which are providing citizen evidence, but they're all designed for slightly different things in slightly different contexts. Some of them do a whole process that's for one very specific application. Some of them do a tiny bit of a process that could be used for many applications. But all of it is all those useful stuff. And the challenge is, if I give you an output which contains some, citizen claims or some votes or some just big reams of text that are just opinions about a topic, it's very hard to make sense of them all with the same language. So we're trying to develop a common ontology for all these tools to use. And it's very much in line with the challenges that this working group is working on, I think.
Oh, that's great, Johnny. John, did you want to comment on that?
Well, just to say, Maureen, that the more connections and the more that we all learn from each other and figure out how we can leverage one another's work, the better. So I would just echo your comment that if Johnny's willing to share contacts, then we can put those people in touch with the folks that are leading this work on the ESIC side. And yeah, life is short. Let's figure out ways to work together and build on one another's work.
That's great. Thank you. I'm looking at the chat, and Chris is saying she's excited by the overall approach. Yes, the academy offering open access learning opportunities key to get. Okay, so that would be a priority for you, Chris, to get that academy going and get the people genuinely involved, give them the tools they need to take it further. Okay, did you want to elaborate on that at all, Chris?
Just that the everything I've seen in other realms is for people to feel like they're genuinely involved and genuinely being taken seriously as partners. You need to provide opportunities for them to learn alongside people who have expertise, so that you're democratizing the process. And I think learning is also a way of spreading the word of raising awareness out there of what is possible and what people can do.
That's very eloquent. I completely agree with you. And I see Violet is pointing out two things, and she says positioning citizens are as partners very interesting. Yes, and in the evidence synthesis ecosystem, citizens as partners is a pretty new concept. We have not been traditionally at those tables and at those discussions. So that's why this ESIC, when we talk about, you know, the transformative power and the step changes, one of those step changes is really a culture change, and we really have to continue stressing that. So thank you for that, Violet. Professor Dr. Chandan Kumar for the first time. Yes, okay. There will be other opportunities, and welcome, Dr. Kumar. Clinic says evidence needs. Right. Okay. Clotilda is talking about considering the evidence needs of citizens. Does anyone want to, oh, I see some hands up too, but if anyone wants to talk a little bit more about that in detail, and where are we not doing it? What are the gaps in considering our evidence needs? And is it a global south, global north gap? Where are those gaps? And you know, where are the places where we really need to do a better job of that? And I see Caroline or Caroline, however you pronounce it, has her hand up. So go ahead, please.
Mine was a different submission. I'm not answering what you just asked, but I don't know if I can go ahead.
Go ahead, yes.
Yes, I was wondering if among the opportunities we are thinking about, we could also put into consideration things like incentives. Some of the things that, some of the challenges we face is that citizens sometimes want something that can motivate them, and they're able to share and open up where they feel like they should, and put across different issues. And so something that can motivate them to use the evidence to give you the answers that you want to specific questions, and also encouraging them to be involved in the different initiatives that we are proposing. Yeah, so it can be monetary or non-monetary, but as something to motivate them. And then the other issue about AI, the AI tools for synthesis, especially in some of the African countries, it's something that is new, specifically in government institutions. So some government institutions here have not yet embraced AI, and there are limitations to how you use it, especially institutional regulation. So some government institutions are not yet, you know, fully allowed people in their, you know, institutions to use it. And I think we have to find ways of how to navigate that, especially if we want to, you know, introduce AI in supporting evidence use and generation as well.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Before I go to you, Violet, I'm gonna make a comment about what Caroline said about the incentives. And you said monetary and non-monetary. I was really happy to hear that piece. So It's like I'd like to pursue that discussion about what people have or on this call about ideas about those incentives that can motivate people like to and encourage them to be involved and to use the evidence. We did at the very beginning in the call to action say that citizens should be compensated for their work in evidence synthesis, and if you in the costing of the project there is a compensation for the work that citizens will do in that in setting up the infrastructure and in the different committees and that. And for some places that will be completely new. People they've relied on citizen work, completely voluntary. So that was important to us. But I'll go to Violet, but let people start thinking maybe about giving us a list of what you think would be those important incentives, because I think that would be a really important for us to bring that to Cape Town too. So over to you, Violet.
Thank you so much, Maureen. I think mine, what I want to submit connects more to what you are saying towards the end, which is if you could paint a little more. I'm just trying to understand what does infrastructure in this case look like when we have placed citizens at the center. What does that look like? Just, yeah.
I'll give you the short answer, and then I'll ask John to comment on it. The short answer is that we're embedded in all of the areas, and that our perspectives are considered, whether it's about AI or whether it's about the training that the academy is going to do, or if there's also a what's it called? The hub? No, you're gonna have to help me, John.
Regional
What's
secretariat? Regional
Yes,
secretariats?
yes, but there's also a lab. There's a
Yes,
lab
a
also that's being
co-production
proposed.
lab.
So for me, Violet, when I talk about us in the infrastructure and everything, I mean that when they're looking at interest holders, we should always be at those tables. We should also always be included in that and bring our perspectives to shape the work in all of the areas. So we're kind of cross-cutting all the way through. But I'll let John maybe take that on a little bit more.
Yeah, well, the way that ESIC has thought about infrastructure are they appear here as the row headers in this table. So demand side engagement, data sharing, reusing, safe, responsible use of AI. And if you go on to the next slide, you'll see about the methods and process innovation, capacity sharing, governance. So to Maureen's point, the aspiration is that citizen partners and citizen survey and citizen-led NGOs are at the heart of each of those pieces. So going in reverse order, they sit at the governance table to make sure that this is governed in a way that remains attentive to the needs of everyday people. They are involved in capacity sharing, both sharing their capacities for how citizens can become citizen scientists involved in this type of work, setting priority questions, interpreting what the findings mean, and so on. With methods and process innovation, they're helping us think through what would next generation work look like in this space that would better meet the needs of citizens. And if we just go back up a slide, helping us think through how do we undertake the incorporation of AI in ways that citizens are willing to trust that it is being used safely and responsibly. Similarly, for the data that's being drawn on, how do we engage citizen partners in helping us collectively think through how we deal with misinformation and how we build trust in robust information. And then right to the heart of the demand side question, how do we engage citizens in setting the priorities for the questions that need to be addressed and in shaping how we go about responding to those questions. So, the infrastructure will have all of these moving parts, and the aspiration, because of the leadership of a number of people on this call, is that citizens are very instrumentally involved in each piece of the infrastructure. But, the whole purpose of today's call, Cape Town and follow-up conversations, is to say, what should it look like on the ground to really deliver the types of impacts that we hope it will? Maureen,
Thanks,
maybe
John.
back to you. Yep.
Yeah, and just back to Caroline and others who've talked about AI, which is very important. I can tell you that one of the first groups, working groups that reached out to us citizens to meet with us was the AI group, who wanted to talk about, how do we integrate citizens and embed citizens in our work, and how do we get this how do we get this right? So it's a huge area, right? There's challenges for all interest holders in AI. So I think that including us in those challenges is really important too. Okay, Professor Kumar, your hand is up. Did you want to make a comment?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I am from India, and how actually this evidence synthesis is going to be collected, and who from where actually, like I am a healthcare professional as a physiotherapist working in academic institutions. So we do like systematic review and other things. So these evidences from where we are going to collect it and how it is going to synthesize and where actually these informations need to be shared with the public, whether we have to use any platform or by going and contacting with the citizens. Like I am completely new actually in this group, so I want to know about how I should get involved actually in this and take responsibilities.
John, can you talk a little bit about the opportunities that will occur after this planning process is done? So the way it's working is that this project that we've been working on, this planning process, is going to end at Cape Town. We will be following up with you with everything that we heard there, and we'll make sure that we'll report back to you. Then they'll go into another whole area, and that's where there will be a lot of opportunities. So maybe, John, you could talk briefly about that, because obviously people are saying, yeah, this is great. I want to continue working, in this area. So
Yeah, so Maureen is right that, this planning process, laying out a vision for or a roadmap for the future, is nearing the final stages. So it will culminate in the Cape Town meeting. Then there will be a roadmap version 2. Then the funders who have committed to support this work will be going away and deciding what each of them is going to fund and how do they fund it in a way that makes the whole thing work together as more of a seamless whole. So there will be many funding calls that are likely to come in future that will require groups to engage with citizen partners, to engage with citizen serving and citizen-led NGOs in whatever pieces of this infrastructure they are taking on. And then if you're a researcher, there will be opportunities to apply for funds again to contribute to the infrastructure or to use the infrastructure to produce much more timely, relevant, and actionable evidence syntheses. So I heard you say, Professor Kumar, that you have been involved in producing reviews. So the hope is there will be a lot of opportunity for doing reviews, but in keeping with the ethos that we're talking about here, the hope is that a lot more of that work would be done in partnership with citizen partners, in partnership with citizen serving and led NGOs. So the funding calls may not start to appear until September, October, November, but you'll be able to follow those opportunities on the ESIC website. And there is a goal to make sure that these funding opportunities reach people across the global south. So there should be opportunities in every region, including in South Asia, for people to respond.
Thank you. Thank you for answering my question.
thank you, John. So what about tensions or challenges that you identify there? Are there things that you look at and you say, well, I don't think that's feasible, or I just don't see this happening, or I see a tension here? Is there something that we should be talking about and bringing to Cape Town about from our perspective, or what's missing, like what's not there that would need to be implemented, or that should be there to really build that better infrastructure to serve everyone? Anyone have any thoughts about that?
Sorry, Maureen, this may be way off base, but are the funders all familiar with involving citizens and comfortable with that? Like, do we need to produce anything that shows them the value of that? I don't know about funding worldwide.
I can tell you from the meeting, there was a project meeting held in March in London, UK. And I was at that meeting, and I can tell you that the funders were very enthusiastic and stressed about citizen engagement in all of these projects. For some funders, it's mandatory. That's just the way they operate. And for others, they're looking at new areas of doing it. And so I was thrilled to see the interest there. I don't know if you want to add to that, John, because you have a lot more contact with the funders that I do, but my impression was that there was a great openness to doing this. They said to us, be bold, be visionaries. This is your chance to get out there and do, have some culture change, basically. So, but
That's so good to hear. That's progress. Congratulations to all of you who've organized this.
And maybe Maureen, I'll just add, yeah, so, so far 3 funders, have already announced their financial commitments. I think it's safe to say all 3 of them are very supportive of strong citizen engagement in all aspects of the work. There are currently more than 30 funders who have joined the Funders Interest Group who would like to be exploring over the summer and early fall in the Northern Hemisphere how they can be part of this. And I think they will be on a spectrum, likely, Janet, of folks who are similar to the ones that are already at the table, very engaged, very supportive. They've supported that kind of work before, to at the other extreme, folks for whom they've heard about this, but they don't have a lot of practical experience with it. I would hope that there wouldn't be people who would not see it as just a key part of the future. It just may be they may not have a lot of experience and they need to learn from their fellow funding peers. So in the short run, I think the answer would be I don't think we need anything currently because I think we have enough funders who have enough experience that they can bring along their peers. But if that changes, there's nothing like hearing directly from citizen partners, citizen serving NGOs. What does this look like on the ground? So there's a good chance that Maureen and Euphrasia and others will connect with many of you in future to talk about can we bring you to some funders meetings to bring this alive for funders for whom this is new.
Thanks, John. Before I go to you, Violet, I'm going to go to the chat. First of all, Chris answered my call for some pragmatic incentives, and that's great. Talking about the creation of micro credentials that people would receive when they would be doing the training from the academy. I think that's a wonderful idea, and that they would act as evidence of their learning achievement and their skill development, which is really important when we're sitting at those tables, that we have the skills to be at that table. Also, we have our own skills that are based on different things, but it's still a skill set. So I think that's really important. So thank you for that, Chris. And Clotilda is also talking about incentives, recognizing their contributions, keeping them involved. Yes, bringing them to the decision-making tables, and that's why there's one proposal to have a citizen panel to really operationalize some of that work. And yes, absolutely, one of the pushes is for us to be at those decision-making tables where we historically have not been in the evidence synthesis world. Michelle, who's one of our citizen members, saying that still a lot of work to be done across the component areas to demonstrate the value of citizen engagement, where you see us named. Yes, so naming us is one thing, but naming us and explaining the value of us being named is another one to work on. So I'm sure Michelle will be definitely bringing home that point in a couple of days in Cape Town. And Johnny Yes, so Johnny, you've got my email address, so we'll connect on the people who you thought would be interested in the AI work. Thank you very much. Okay, over to you, Violet.
Thanks, Maureen, once again. Just going back to the call to action of what this is about, which is citizens being able to use this data to improve their day-to-day decision making. So when I look through all the five components, where does the supply side sit? Because for citizens to improve on whatever they do, you need to have the supply side as well being met, but also where is the market sitting?
I'm going to hand that one over to John.
Okay.
It was the market for, what was it, Violet?
The supply side, you talked
Yeah.
about the
The
supply
supply
side.
side, in the context of talk about government entities, national data bodies, that stuff, but then the market.
Like in terms of businesses and so on, like the private
Yeah,
sector.
private
Yes, no,
sector.
yeah,
Yes.
no, great point, Violet. I think this has been an area that ESIC hasn't yet had a chance to explore as fully as possible. I believe that coming to Cape Town will be a leader from the Global Compact, which is a group of private companies around the world who've come together to try to advance the public interest, particularly to help achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. So that is currently our main pathway into the private sector in terms of having a way for private businesses to think about how this could change how they approach their work. I think the other way that this could come in is the part of the private sector that is focused on technology. So big technology companies, social media companies, and so on. There is a separate process beginning that will engage them because if Google, for example, changes its search functions in ways that pull the more high quality actionable insights from sources like those that would become part of ESIC in future, then when we do quick searches on our phone, it's built into the system that we're seeing that higher quality evidence first as just one of many, many examples. So there is ramping up that separate conversation. But I think you were talking about, all the businesses that we all interact with in everyday life. And I think that is a big road ahead that we'll all need to figure out how we climb together.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to put a slide up with the vision because people have been asking some questions about the vision, a little bit about the vision for year 1, year 2, and there we are in year 5 with a fully transformed evidence ecosystem able to pivot quickly to emerging priorities. And I think it's, they've got it divided into years. You've given us some really good priorities to bring forward for how to implement all of the work in year 1. And some great insights. These meetings have been incredible. I think the last one somebody talked about the fact that there was not a lot of talk about evidence synthesis on the topic of peace. And I note that in the agenda, there's a breakout session on that topic. So that was, I don't know if it just came from what we heard here, but I think that the group has been responsive to some of our feedback. So I was really happy to hear that. So this is what it would look like, as far as setting it up and what the vision would be, what the results would be at the end of the first year, the end of the second year, and that hopefully by the end of the 5th year, we would have that transformed evidence ecosystem. And for us, it would be emerging priorities and, those identified by citizens and those that meet the needs of citizens and in a way that would respond to all of our needs across the globe. So I will leave it at that. I will go to the next steps. And so again, if you've thought of something else, you can contact me. I may not answer right away. I may be en route to South Africa. It's pretty far from Canada, but please contact me. You still have until the end of tomorrow, 17 o'clock UTC, to provide your feedback on the roadmap. And that could be in, one little part of it that you want to focus on, or it could be just a very, very general about the roadmap, whatever you would like to do. And we will follow up with a summary of the Cape Town consensus meeting. And we will thank you for attending, whether you came to all three or one. Today was your first one or two. We appreciated all of the conversations, all of the time you've taken, and for being so generous with all of your insights. And we hope to go to Cape Town and do a really good job to represent citizen perspectives in this very exciting project. And I will leave it at that and say that we look forward to communicating with you the results of everything. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Maureen.
We look forward to hearing about, what went on in South Africa.
Okay. Bye, everyone.